All right, and today, Picklebilly hosted housing. We are so delighted to have you here, Scott Golden. And it has been a little bit of a process this morning. Of course, we were scheduled to go live at 11 a.m. and then I had an internet outage here at my house. So I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you. So now you're running commentary on the varying pro tournaments, and you're traveling all over the place, and of course dealing with technical issues. So is that ever an issue? Is it ever come up to cause any problems for you, either in the announcing or the interviews, just dealing with the technical aspects of things?
Oh goodness, yeah. The technical side is probably the most challenging because anytime you're dealing with technology and people, it can tend to get a little bit crazy. So yeah, we've had several, I would say, hiccups in the road, especially at the pro commentary level. The expansion of the game is growing so rapidly and evolving so quickly that um, sometimes the live streaming and the stuff wasn't caught up yet, and
Yeah.
so we would have a lot of issues, or it wouldn't be good quality. It has come a long way, but certainly we've seen our share of internet outages and technical difficulties for sure. So
And I want to ask you, it seems like different pros take different paths, and I'm seeing a lot of people have training camps and clinics, and I wonder, do you do that as well?
I do. So I have my hands in a little bit of everything in pickleball. So
Yeah.
I've been playing about 5 years. I'm rated at 5.0. I play some pro events and some 5.0 events, just depending on the tournament and the partners in that situation. And then I do commentary. I've done my live streaming for a long time. And let's see, I also do interviews as well,
I
like you,
know, so it's
Janice. So.
great I get to interview you.
Yeah, it's definitely different being interviewed versus doing the interviewing. But yeah, so I do a little bit of everything, and I also teach. I teach full time down here in Boca Raton, Florida, and then I travel around the country and do clinics as well.
Yeah. But you doing commentary is different. I don't see other pros doing that. So I'm wondering, like, do you have a background in drama or journalism or broadcasting, or how did you start doing this? What led to this part of your career?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, and we're going to try to keep it short and sweet. I could talk for an hour just on that topic, so I'll try to keep it quick. And
Oh, I want to
uh,
hear it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I've been live streaming pickleball since the very beginning. I have a live stream out there on Facebook that literally is time stamped from the second day that I ever played. It was on a Saturday back in 2016. And so I've been really live streaming, and at that time I didn't know what I was talking about or what I was doing, but I
Are
was
you
excited
talking
about
about
it.
your games with your friends at
Yeah,
tournaments?
yeah. I had just been invited, me and my twin brother had been invited to go play in Trussville, Alabama at the time where I was living there. And I didn't even hardly know all the rules, but I wanted to show everybody, what I was learning and what I was doing. And it started from there. And then really the way I got into commentary was because I would go to all these tournaments. I started traveling it would have been March of 2017, and I started traveling all over the country. And when I would get beat and put out of the tournament, either before the bronze medal match or the gold medal match, I would start streaming people's matches. And there were several times where I got beat by the people that I played against, and then I would turn around and set up the camera, and I would live stream and commentate the gold medal match after just getting put out. So it kind of started there, and I started building up a little bit of a following. People seemed to enjoy what I was doing and listening, and I mean, I would get some feedback. You always get good and bad. The good is the stuff you want to kind of, soak in, and the bad stuff you have to kind of decipher. Is it just somebody heckling you and being what we call internet troll, or are they trying to give you constructive criticism? And at the end of the day, the people who really care, Janice, are the ones that are going to message you privately, and they're going to say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I want to offer some advice privately to help you along the journey." The ones that are just going to be negative and say stuff online publicly, that I really come to believe that they're just looking for more of attention, and so you just kind of have to decipher what's what. And so as I was going through my journey on my own, I just was documenting those things. And really my first professional commentary was with the World Pickleball Championship. Jan David gave me an opportunity first, and I missed an opportunity to give him credit the other day, but he was really the first guy that believed in me and what I offered, and so that kind of got me going in the right direction. And from there, the Professional Pickleball Association picked me up, and the rest is history.
Well, you know what? I really admire that, and I think maybe you and I have that in common somewhat, in that, like, I'm doing this, and believe me, it's not perfect, and I'm learning along the way, but I just have this interest in pickleball, and I just have interest in sharing it. And it sounds like when you were at the tournaments, you just wanted to share this, and you wanted to talk about it, you wanted to show the world. And so, you know, and then it's just by doing it, I think you eventually get better at it and you become smoother. And
Absolutely. Yeah, the only thing that I try to do, honestly, Janice, when I'm either doing a live stream myself, an interview that's live, or even pro commentary when I'm in the booth with ESPN3, I always try to just be myself. I don't want to be anybody else. I want to be Scott Golden, and I want to be the most genuine, humble, confident person that I can be when I'm on the hot seat. And that's what it boils down to. And then taking constructive criticism, taking the insight from people who are further along in their journey has really helped me. And trust me, Janice, I don't have time to get into all the names of people that have helped me over the last 5 years, but there's been countless people who are much, much smarter than me, much further along the journey than me, and they've been willing to extend a hand and simply try to help me and offer no invoice along attached with that. They just want to help, and I'm so thankful for those people.
Yeah, and I imagine having that attitude has probably helped you in your pickleball career.
It has, for sure.
Be grateful for people who want to point you in the right direction and give suggestions and ideas. And
absolutely. And when I was coming up through what I call the ranks, that's how I phrase it a lot of times. And I'm nowhere close to arriving or anything, but as I was coming up through those games and the journey and the tournaments, I just always tried to give back. When somebody would come up to me at the tournaments and ask if I could play a pickup game with them, and I'd been playing all day long and just finished, commentating or something, I always tried to say yes if I could. And I still do that. I still will play with people and have a good time. And that's really what it comes down to. It's about giving back to the sport. And that's what I've always tried to do.
Well, it seems like you're really giving back a lot with all the different things that you're involved with. That's incredible. Okay, so I wanted to get some pickleball guidance from you.
Yes.
So, all right, so I do have to say, so I did get the golden ticket.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
I know. Isn't that fancy?
That is fancy. I haven't seen one.
This was the one for the USAPA in Vegas.
Very
so
cool.
I wanted to get you, all right, okay, so if you were going to give me some tips, I would like to have a stronger ground stroke that just can nail it across the net with power and great placement. What are your 3 keys that you would guide me to have a stronger, more effective ground stroke? It seems like the ground strokes are becoming we always have the third shot drop, but there seems to be a greater emphasis on the ground stroke.
So what we're seeing is a shift in the game where the third shot drive is becoming a little more predominant, and then the 5th shot drop is what you're seeing. So the third shot drive is going to be something where you set it up for the 5th shot. So you're going to set up the third shot with a nice smooth attacking drive, stepping into the ball, and then it comes back. Hopefully, if it comes back the way you want, it'll come back about halfway up the court, and then you and your partner can, hopefully move up a little bit and get to that next ball, and then you're dropping that fifth shot from halfway up, so it's a much easier shot. It's almost like an extended dink. So that's what we're kind of seeing more of. Now, listen, I don't come from a tennis background, Janice, so you have to understand, I've spent 5 years trying to improve myself, right? I came from no racket sport background. So for me to get to the level that I play at is extremely difficult.
I'm sorry, back up. You played ping pong, badminton?
Nothing competitive in racket sports.
That's me too.
Right. So I want to encourage you and anybody else that doesn't come from a racket sport background, it's okay. There are some good and some bad things that come along with that. But with the emphasis of your question with the ground stroke, the first thing I would tell you is if you don't come from a tennis background, don't try to hit the ball like a tennis player. That's the first thing. I spent the first couple of years of my career trying to mimic and imitate tennis players, and it just isn't smart to do that because we're not tennis players. We come from a totally different background. So what I tried to do is develop my drive that was unique to me and that felt comfortable to me. And at the end of the day, as long as the ball goes over the net with effectiveness, it really shouldn't matter how it looks, okay? And people will tell you different things, but in my opinion, if it works and it works for you, stay with that. The second,
do you feel like people who do not come from a racket sport background do tend to develop a unique approach?
Of course.
Of
course. You have all kinds of backgrounds that are coming into pickleball now, and you're seeing badminton, tennis, table tennis. You're seeing squash players come over, racquetball players come over. So everybody's got a unique style. Every one of those backgrounds comes with a strength and weaknesses, okay?
Yeah.
And what I would tell you if you don't come from a tennis background is number one, don't try to be like everybody else. Create your own unique, style. The second thing is don't hit it as hard as you can. The drive is more about the form and the comfortableness of it. And so when I try to hit 110%, I usually dump it in the net or hit the back fence. So when I try to hit it about 80% of my strength, I find that I have more accuracy and it's still an effective shot. And then the last thing I would say is if you don't come from a tennis background and you want to improve your drive, go get with a one-on-one coach. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tennis player, a tennis instructor, but it does help if they can teach you some of the techniques. But the other thing associated with that is the grip, the way you hold the paddle.
Yes. I just
so that makes a difference.
And he was talking about cocking your wrist, and so you're getting the grip, the stroke, but then your wrist is cocked. And you kind of pull it so that it goes through. And I like that. That seems to be really increased power.
Absolutely. And one other thing that I learned from tennis players, it's not necessarily a form or technique with the shot itself. It has to do with your mentality and your physical body. When you're going to hit, you see the tennis players, a lot of times they exhale. So what that breathing does, the breathing mechanism there is to help you relax your body so you don't tense up too much. I found personally that when I hold my breath and I clench my fists, and I try to swing through that ball, it never ends well. And so the more relaxed you are and the more smooth and fluid you are with the shot, the better it becomes and the more effective it becomes.
Okay, so let's say you're in a match and then you find yourself getting a little anxious. Maybe they're moving you around a lot. Maybe, you're down points. Is there something that you do that will get you back in that relaxed state and get you back in that focus? What do you do to, make sure you're in that place?
Absolutely. So one of the most underutilized things that we have in pickleball is the 2 timeouts. So if you're in a rec game, you're not going to be able to call a timeout. But if you're playing tournaments, which is where you feel most of the pressure usually in tournaments, make sure you use those timeouts strategically. You can use them to catch your breath, but you can also use them strategically in the sense of if the other team's gone on a run, three or more points in a row is considered a run. You can stifle that momentum. You can stop that momentum by calling a good, well-placed timeout. That'll give you 60 seconds, Janice, to regroup, get your mind right. And what we found is 70% or more of the time, the team that calls the timeout comes out and wins the next point out of that timeout. And it's a pretty substantial in favor of that team.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
How it changes the dynamics. It's
is
really interesting. Of course, when I'm ahead and the other team calls a timeout, I'm like, oh, no. We're not going to lose our momentum. Don't even think about it.
Exactly. And that really is an undervalued part of the game is using those timeouts to slow somebody's momentum or what have you. One other thing about what you asked about if somebody's like, if they're picking on you or you're missing some shots on a certain side, or maybe you and your partner get bogged down and you're just stuck in that. Everybody gets stuck in that, like, I don't know, I call it stuck in the mud or whatever, where you just feel like you can't get out of that rhythm of losing points. If you're out of timeouts or you're in a rec game and you don't have any timeouts, I would suggest switching. So we call it stacking or switching.
Oh yeah, I stack. Yeah.
It's sometimes you stack for strategic reasons, but other times you just want to get out of that rhythm that they're creating, and so you'll switch boxes. So after the return, you'll switch over, and the person returning will go to the opposite box, and that will sometimes just get you out of that rut that you're in.
Yeah. Do you have a regular partner, either for men's doubles or for mixed doubles, that you guys really are aligned philosophically? You train together. Do you tend to have the same partner?
So ideally, in the perfect world, Janice, I would play with the same two people for every tournament. But the reality is not everybody can travel as much as I do. Not everybody has the budget that I have. Not everybody can get to every tournament. So the reality is you're going to have to play with different people. So you have to try to decide in your mind what type of player you are. And then this is the hard part, Janice. This is where most people struggle. Most people just take any partner that asks them. Somebody asks you, hey, yes, I'll play. And people have a hard time saying no to somebody. And sometimes it may be because you're the better player and you don't want to team up with somebody that's going to be the weak link on the team. Sometimes it's a personality thing. Sometimes it's just maybe you don't jive with them philosophically. So the journey of this finding partners is finding the right type of person that you fit with. So styles have to match up. Personalities have to match up. The mindset has to be the same. So that's the hard part. And I encourage you, when you find somebody like that, do everything in your power to keep them because it's special. But no, I don't have two people that I play with every single tournament. Now, I do play with Megan Hall a lot. Megan Hall would be my mixed doubles partner that I would most likely choose first. But we're also very close, and sometimes that can be tricky too because maybe where I can get away with saying something to somebody else on the court that has no history or background or that closeness, I won't get away with that with her for sure. So, and then in men's, it's a tough thing for me to find the consistency with the men's partners. I did find a guy named Mike Forrester that lives about an hour and a half north of me in Florida, and we've been playing some local stuff. He doesn't get to travel a lot, so I gel with him extremely well.
I think I find it very lovely because I have a female partner and a male partner who I play really well together with. But it takes a commitment from both of us and this willingness to have the conversation and then what works for you, what works for me, how are we going to handle it, just the whole thing. But it's definitely a process. And I just think everybody, when you find that person, is to put the effort into it and the communication. And it's just so lovely when it flows and when it, it's just so fun playing pickleball when that happens. But I don't think it's very easy. I don't think it's easy to make that happen.
Not at all. And it almost has to happen naturally. But then once you find that person or those people, you want to find ways to get on the court with them outside of the rec games and outside of the tournament games and
Yeah.
spend time on the court, just one-on-one, discussing topics, strategies, concepts, familiarity, who's going to take the ball if this happens, who's going to
Yeah.
slide here and cover that, talk about, things, shots that you like to do, shots that they like to do, ways to help, set them up for those things. So there's a lot of things that you don't have time to discuss when you just jump on a court and start playing.
Yeah.
That if you really want to get that cohesive partnership, you've got to spend some time drilling, practicing, and really just put that work in outside of the rec games and tournament games. And it shows with the people who do that, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I feel very vibe connected with my female partner. But it's interesting because we stack, and so I've got my forehand in the middle. She's got her forehand in the middle, and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to take the forehand. Like, I'm going to take the forehand." I'm like, "Well, no, I want the forehand." But then I just decided, okay, that's fine. You're going to be strong at it. You go ahead. But
Yeah.
then,
So.
and so it's okay. We negotiated. I'm fine, and so it works out.
Yeah, sometimes you have to kind of put the ego aside or the pride and say, hey, who's got the better third shot? And to be honest, between me and Megan Holt, Megan's got a little bit better third shot drop. I've got a little bit more of the speed and agility and the X factor kind of my game's a little more aggressive. So what we figured out is she's going to take every third that she can get her hands on, and then I'll move up and put pressure on the other team as she puts that drop in the kitchen. I can come up and kind of use my speed and athleticism to put that pressure, and a lot of times it works.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Now look at us. See, we've already been talking for about 20 minutes.
I know, it goes by fast.
When you keep going. Okay, all right. I'm going to end on one. Okay, here's what I want you to think about. Think about a match you've been watching lately, and you've seen some tremendous players. Can you tell me about one player, and you say to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to do that. Like, I love that shot. I admire that. I need to adopt that into my routine."
For sure. So the two people I really enjoy that are on the big stage quite a bit is Riley Newman and Lindsay Newman, and they find themselves in big games, big situations. I would love to adopt their discipline, their consistency, and their ability to play good defense and reset almost any ball anywhere on the court and stay.
Almost any ball.
They can track down almost any ball between the two of them, and they have such an ornate ability to put the ball back in the kitchen unattackable, and I really admire that. I think it's very difficult to do, and I want to start modeling my game after that for sure.
Well, thank you again for your time and all of your wisdom that you're sharing with us, and thanks for all of the energy and your humor and that you bring to the announcements, and good luck with all of your coaching and all of your upcoming play.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. And I wanted to flip the coin real quick. I know we're getting off of this thing, but I wanted to ask you if you could tell all the viewers watching, because I've invited some people over to watch, what Picklebilly hosted housing is. People are, I think, curious. They're starting to see it a little bit more. And just going to kind of open up the floor to you to tell everybody what that is.
I will answer that, Scott.
She did not pay me to say that, by the way. That was just on fly.
We all do love to travel, and we all love playing pickleball. And this is a community, and we all know we've met so many people playing pickleball. So the idea is that if you have a room available in your house, a room or a two, and you'd be willing to host another pickleball player, then it's Picklebilly hosted housing. You can sign up, and then people can find you on the list, and share each other.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you put the list out there publicly, or is it on the website, or is it on the Facebook page? Where can people find it?
Well, the list is when you sign up, and we keep the list off of Facebook because there's really no place to put. I really didn't want to just put it up on Facebook. I want you to be a member of it, so there is some privacy to it. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So if people want to be a host, they can sign up on Picklebilly on the Facebook page?
Yeah, Picklebilly hosted housing. And then they sign up, and then they can get the list of hosts, and then they can connect with that person. And when I went to Vegas, I did my first hosted housing exchange, and I stayed with this lovely couple in their lovely home and just learned about their family and met their dogs and went out to dinner. But the really neat part also was participating in his pickleball community. So he took me out and we did drills and I saw the courts, and sometimes it takes a while to get to know a place and people. So just to go to visit and have that leg up into the whole scene was really interesting and really fun and really helpful.
That's awesome. Yeah, and anybody that travels and plays tournaments or just travels in general knows how expensive it can be to rack up hotel rooms night after night. And I know personally, I love getting host homes because you get to connect with people, and it's kind of an unwritten thing. But if you're either a pro or a 5-0, a higher level player, and you're staying with somebody who's not at that level, it's never negotiated up front or anything. But I try to always take them out on the court and ask them if they have any questions. Do they want to hit around? And it's kind of a thank you, even though we're not exchanging money. But yeah, I try to.
Oh my gosh, I know. That would be just so exciting. Like the idea. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think people love that exchange. I mean, they're going to open up their home and they don't ever ask for anything in return. But I think that's a good etiquette to have. So if you're out there listening and you're a pro, spend some time with the people that host you at their home, because they don't have to do that.
Yeah. 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. I think it's really exciting. I think there's a lot of potentiality there. And and like I said, I saved probably $1,000 in lodging costs by being hosted.
Absolutely.
So, that's fabulous.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I've enjoyed it. And we went a little over, but not too bad.
Not too bad. I'm gonna put this everywhere. It'll be on YouTube, and I'll send it out to my subscribers for Picklebilly, and
awesome.
And I'll send you a copy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your flexibility, Scott. I appreciate. Yeah.
Not a problem. If anybody needs to give grace with flexibility, it's me.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Okay. All right. Okay. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.